Hi YouTube, it's Mike with Kane's Autograph. Had a big week this week, busy at work, but the cards just come rolling in, so I'm going to do a little bit of a different format just because I don't have as much time as I normally do. First off, I'm going to start with a failure, and I got this little note back from Steve Kemp. Steve Kemp said, thanks for following my baseball career, but I want $10 a card to sign, and that took about 3 years to get me back, so 3 years to hang on to it just to say, hey, it's going to cost you 10 bucks. That's okay. Got a lot of good stuff in my mailbox this week. First up, I got Bill Sharp back, 3 of 3 in 9 quick days, and he gave me that Major League inscription on all these cards. You can check out that. They all turned out really nice. Next up, Zeke Moat. Zeke played for the Giants, and I got a 2-2 card return from him in 2 quick days, or not 2 quick days. Got 2 cards back in 9 days. Next up, Kevin Bass, and he inscribed for me, and Kevin came back in 9 days. Got him on the Topps team leader card. Next up, Rich Monolone was a 3 of 3 return in 9 days. Got a theme going here with these 9-day returns. All 3 of these came back really nice. This next one, and I'm going to screw up this last name, Doug Gowouds. Doug was a 3 of 3 return, and he put the Major League debut inscription on this card for me. And I got the Future Stars card, and I think out of these 3, he was the only one who signs. Next up, 2 of 2 return in 11 days. Bruce Laird, cornerback for the Colts. And then I got him on this USFL card. I got a 3 of 3 return from Jim Barr in 11 days. He signed both of these cards, and then he completed the 1972 Rookie Stars card with Chris Arnold and Dave Rader. This looks really nice. Glad to have that in my collection. Next up was a 3 of 3 return from Dave Moorhead in 11 days, and he put the no-hitter inscription on these cards, 2 of the 3 anyway. Next up was a 2 of 2 return from former Minnesota Twin Darrell Jackson in 11 days. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Next up, it was a 3 of 3 return in 11 days from Paul Seymour on these classic cards. Next up, 2 of 2 return from Steve Reed in 11 days. And this is on a minor league card. Here we go on a major league card. Next up, a 2 of 2 return from Bill Landrum. And Bill was kind enough to, in my note to him, he acknowledged a few things I wrote and sent a little note back. So that's always nice when players do that. I really appreciate that. Next up, I got some classic card action coming back in 40 days from Dalton Jones, former Red Sox, and a former Tiger. Next up in 11 days, Terry Harmon, 3 of 3 return, and he put the Major League debut on his card. Former Philly. Next up, 1972 leading fireman card return from Clay Carroll. I will send that off to Mr. Sparky Lyle next, and hopefully I get that dual card signed back really quick. I got a 2 of 2 return from Ken Sanders. And both of these cards turned out beautiful, like that. Next up, and I just made a comment on Monday to the Hot Corners channel. I saw he got Brian Harvey back, and I made a comment. I've been chasing this guy for a long time, trying to get his cards, and then Monday night it was in the mail. I got a 1 of 2 return. So he signed this one for whatever reason he didn't sign this one. I don't know if it's stuck together and he didn't see it. Or he just decided I'm only going to sign one for Mike, but I got one card back, so it's a success. Next up is Leo Canderas, a 2/2 return in 11 days, and he put 5-time All-Star. He does charge a fee. I paid $5 per card for him. Next up, Steve Oberg. And let me close. Steve took 11 days to get back. He put that Major League debut on that card for me. And then I got him on this dual rookie card. I'll have to look and see if the other player signs. I don't believe he does. Next up, some of the older classic cards. Former Colt Norm Bulak. He's a running back. He signed 2 cards for me. And Norm got these cards back to me in 11 days. Next up, I got Randy Knorr, a 2/2 return. And Mr. Knorr signed these back in 11 days. Next up, and I love this inscription, 2019 All-Star by Shane Green. I don't get many cards back in red, and this week I get 2 cards back with the red ink on them. Looks great though. Appreciate that. And I got those back in, let's see, 11 days. Next up, former Twin Bobby Mitchell. And Bobby got a 2/2 return back to me in 12 days. So you see, I'm getting a lot of returns back, but what happened is I had a bunch of time off during Christmas break, so I sat and I wrote out a bunch of TTM letters, but I held off till after the holidays and then I sent them out. So that's why I'm getting them back in bunches now. 2/2 return from Manager of the Year, Buck Showalter, and he sent 2 cards back in 12 days. Next up, again, I got the Major League inscription on here from Floyd Rayford, and Floyd returned 3 of 3 cards in 12 days. I got the 87 Topps, I got this 86 Leaf, and then on this Future Stars, I already had Mark Corey. Floyd signed it, so it'll go off to Mike Boddicker next, and I hopefully can complete that tri-card. Next up, Bob Dubla, if I'm saying that right, returned 2 cards in 41 days. Both of these turned out nice, look good. Little football action in here for us. We got a 2/2 return in 12 days from former Bronco Dennis Smith. I like that Pro Bowl card. It really sticks out there, and he gave the 6-time Pro Bowl inscription on that card for me. Sticking with the football, we got a return from Steve Christie, and he's autographed it, and then he wrote Bucks below it. On this game day, he autographed it, and he wrote Bills below it. So I got a nice return from Bert Campaneris, shortstop, and he was a 3-time World Series champ with those Oakland A's. He does charge $5 per card, but as we've seen, some of these players are passing away, and you don't want to mess around with some of these older guys, especially when they're charging for it. It's kind of a business transaction at that point. So I sent those off, and I got these back, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. A lot of classic cards for my collection. Next up, Bob Scanlon. And looking at my sheet here, trying to see. Bob Scanlon was in 13 days. And a 3 of 3 return. Next up, some classic football cards. Lynn St. Jean, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And he put 1966 All-Pro on it for an inscription. And he was 13 days. These turned out really nice. Next up, from one of my personal favorite players, Mr. Kent Herbeck. He signed this card that Lenny Faldo had already signed. I just need to see if I can get Tim Laudner to sign that to finish off it and get that 3 cards signed. I got this classic Topps Gold Card Rookie, and these were remakes. These weren't originally how they came out. I love this Sports Illustrated Best of the Worst. So that's when Mr. Herbeck was having a really good rookie year. He lost Rookie of the Year to some guy that's in the Hall of Fame named Cal Ripken Jr. And then on the Diamond King, and Herbie got these back to me in 39 days. Really throwing in some different stuff this week. We got some hockey back, and I haven't done a lot of hockey. Man, guys should drop me some comments. Who should I go after for hockey players? I know they're great signers, and they turn them around pretty quick. Rob Blake sent 2 of 2 back to me in 13 days. It really looked good. I got Don Money to give me a 4-time All-Star inscription on this card, and these 2 came back to me in 99 days. Next up, Chargers legend John Jefferson. And John signed 3 of 3 for me. And I got these back from Mr. Jefferson in 14 days. Got 1988 World Series champion Jay Howe, and he signed this Pitcher of the Month card for me. He signed this Future Stars card that was already signed by Ty Wallner. And then he gave me the 88 World Series inscription on the Dodgers card. Next up, Dick Ambrose from the Browns. And that was a 2 of 2 return in 14 days. Thank you, Mr. And more hockey. What the heck's going on? Am I going to be a hockey collector pretty soon? I'm working on it. Barry Peterson. He had a 3 of 3 return in 14 days for me. Like that OP cheat card. I like how that blue pops out on that. And then a Pittsburgh Penguins card. Next up, I got a 2 of 2 return saying Go Irish. Mr. Terry Harity. And these came back in 14 days. Next up, a 3 of 3 return in 12 days from Bobby Meekum. And he gave me that Major League debut on this card. Got a return, and I know this guy hasn't been signing for that long, or he was signing at one time and then he stopped, but I got a 3 of 3 return in 15 days from Don Stanhouse. He put the 1979 All-Star inscription on that card for me. Next up, a 2 of 2 return from Mark Wazinger. And these came back in 15 days. Next up, this one was kind of cool, so I thought it was cool anyway. Pete Charlton, he sent these 2 cards back to me. After his playing days, Pete went on to become a doctor, and he wrote me a nice little note in there, and I really appreciate that. But I really like how these came back. He's got a pretty nice signature on there for a doctor, doesn't he? Next up, Jimmy Sexton was a 2 of 2 return in 15 days. And I got John Donaldson, 2 of 2 return in 15 days. Look at that old Pilots card. We don't see many of those around. Next up, a 2 of 2 return in 15 days from Jason Michaels. You can see that kind of reminds me of that Mickey Hatcher card with the big glove on there. Next up, I got 2 back from Ron Sabota, and Ron charges $5 a card. And these were both reprints. Then I just made the comment to somebody on their comment that go Mets, and saying I didn't have many Mets, and got Jonathan Neese back in the mailbox. So now I have some more Mets cards to my collection. And he signed 2 of 2 cards for me in 42 days. I guess it was 3 of 3. I messed that up. And then Wayne Granger, my last return of the week, and he signed 2 of 2 in 15 days. So that's my returns for the week. know this format was a little bit different for me, and I worked through it. Just didn't have time to go through it and do it how I normally did. But man, I got a stack of cards. I'm kind of feeling like the medium errata the way he brings them in. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what I should do for some more hockey guys, and tell me what your favorite card of the week was. Thanks. Bye.